Emma never liked loud rooms. Even at Hollywood parties, with chandeliers glinting and champagne glasses ringing, she found herself searching for quiet corners, places where she could breathe, observe, and listen. Fame had found her quickly, maybe too quickly. The spotlight was warm but exhausting, and while she loved acting, she often wondered whether she'd traded something essential for applause. Then came Dave. Not with fireworks or red carpets, but with calm. He wasn't the kind of person who filled silences, he made them comfortable. A writer, director, and comedian, Dave carried an ease that felt like gravity. When Emma appeared on Saturday Night Live in 2016, she had no idea that behind the sketches, amid the controlled chaos of cue cards and cameras, stood the person who'd eventually change her life. It wasn't love at first sight. Not the cinematic kind, anyway. It began with laughter, not sparks. Between takes, he'd make a quiet joke that caught her off guard, and she'd laugh a little longer than necessary. She was used to cleverness, but not this kind, understated, dry, almost shy. The kind that didn't demand attention but earned it anyway. After the show, he thanked her for being such a good sport. She thanked him for not treating her like Emma Stone. They smiled, awkwardly, and that was that, for a while. Months passed. She went back to filming, he went back to writing, and life continued as it always did in Hollywood. Busy, performative, glittering on the surface. But somewhere in the quiet hours between flights and sets, Emma found herself thinking about that calmness again. The way his presence had felt unhurried, genuine. She wasn't used to that. Most people in her world spoke like headlines. He spoke like a secret. When they met again, it was by chance, or fate, depending on who tells the story. A mutual friend's small gathering in Los Angeles, the kind of place where conversations drift from scripts to food to philosophy. Dave was there, standing by the record player, choosing vinyl with care. Emma teased him for being the only person under 40 still playing records. He smiled and said, "Some things sound better imperfect." That night, they talked for hours. Not about movies, not about fame, but about home, music, growing up, fear, and the strange loneliness of success. For once, she didn't feel like she had to perform. And when the evening ended, neither wanted to break the spell. He offered her a ride home, she accepted, and in the soft hum of the car, she realized something startling. She felt safe. They started quietly. Coffee dates, late-night walks, staying out of sight. In a world where everything was meant to be shared, they built a love that existed offline. There were no public declarations, no red carpet debuts. Just two people learning how to exist together, without the noise. Dave was steady in a way Emma had never known. He didn't chase the limelight, didn't need to fill every silence with validation. He wrote stories about strange people and small moments, the kind of work that required empathy more than ego. Emma, whose life had often been consumed by movement, found herself slowing down. She started baking. They watched old movies. She learned to find joy in the ordinary, a kind of happiness fame had never offered. Friends noticed the change. "You seem different," they'd say. She'd smile, trying to describe the indescribable, how love, when quiet, can feel like a heartbeat you never knew you missed. When Dave proposed in 2019, it was exactly as you'd expect, privately, at home, with laughter and tears, and a small diamond that meant more than any headline. They shared the news on Instagram with a simple photo. No caption, just smiles. It was the only kind of announcement that felt right. Their wedding, too, was intimate. No paparazzi, no performance. Just family, close friends, and a promise spoken softly. The world found out later, through whispers, the way you learn of something genuine, after it's already real. They became, in their own understated way, a symbol of something rare in Hollywood, a love not built for the cameras. While others performed affection under flashbulbs, Emma and Dave simply lived it. She continued her career, balancing motherhood and artistry with grace. He kept creating, quietly, in the background. And through it all, they protected the sacredness of ordinary life, that small, beating heart beneath all the noise. Sometimes, fans would ask how she stayed grounded. She'd laugh softly, say something about family or balance. But the truth was simpler. She'd found her peace in someone who never needed to own her light. Someone who was content just to share it. Their daughter was born in 2021. And everything shifted again. The sleepless nights, the bottles, the gentle chaos of parenthood. It was unglamorous, imperfect, and entirely real. Emma often joked that she'd found her best role yet, one without a script. Dave would write during nap times, his desk littered with baby toys and drafts. They were, by all appearances, an ordinary couple. And that ordinariness was what made it extraordinary. Years later, when Emma looked back at photos of her 20s, the premieres, the awards, the interviews, she saw a younger version of herself, always performing. But in the candid photos Dave had taken, her hair messy, laughing in their kitchen, she saw something different. Not the actress, not the image, but the person she'd fought to find again. Hollywood adored stories of grand passion, dramatic, fleeting, loud. But Emma's favorite kind was quieter. The kind that lasted. The kind that didn't need to be seen to be real. In interviews, when asked about her marriage, she rarely gave details. She'd smile and say, "He's the best person I know." That was all. The rest she kept for herself, the inside jokes, the shared glances, the nights spent on the couch watching old comedies. It wasn't secrecy. It was reverence. There was a time she might have wanted to shout her happiness from every stage. But now she understood. Love doesn't need an audience. It just needs to be true. When people spoke of them, they used words like grounded, private, steady. In a city built on illusion, theirs was the rare thing that wasn't for show. Sometimes, walking hand in hand through quiet Los Angeles streets, Emma thought about that first night, the record player spinning softly, his words about imperfection. She realized now how right he'd been. Some things really do sound better imperfect. Love, most of all. And maybe that was the lesson buried in their story, that you can live a big life quietly, that happiness doesn't have to be shouted to be real. That the truest kind of love isn't about grand gestures, but gentle ones. A cup of tea waiting on the counter. A kiss before the day begins. A shared silence that says everything. In the end, their story wasn't a Hollywood epic. It was something smaller, purer, two people finding refuge in each other in a world that never stops watching. And that, perhaps, made it the sweetest story of all.